If you're laughing, you know the significance of that phrase. If you are laughing, you know that that was the original, the superior version from William Shatner, not William Shakespeare. Ladies and gentlemen, what did the following three movies have in common? 2001: A Space Odyssey, Blade Runner, and Free Enterprise.
I really want to see where you're going with this.
Yeah.
They are movies that were way ahead of their time. Yes, they are.
Yeah!
Yes, they are.
Yeah!
And the fourth movie that will soon be added to the movies that were way ahead of their time, Grady Killer. Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Scott Mantz. I'm the film critic for Access Hollywood. And I started reviewing movies 15 years ago, as fate would have it, the same time that I sat down for the first time at the Flowery Screening Room in Beverly Hills to watch Free Enterprise. I took my then girlfriend, okay, you know where this is going. I took my then girlfriend, Mindy, sat there watching this film, which I thought, and I truly believe, was made just for me. I mean, when they get the call, a 5-letter worded planet from Star Wars, I said, Endor. And then those guys said, Endor, and my then girlfriend said, wow, what is the matter with you? When they said, when Robert's character in the film was told, all you care about is Requiem for The Martian. I said, that's wrong. It's Requiem for Methuselah. Yeah. She looked at me and said, what is the matter with you? Never saw her again after that scene.
Good!
Good for her! Ladies and gentlemen, Free Enterprise is a movie that spoke to all of us, and it really was ahead of its time. To that I say, eat your heart out, Big Bang Theory. Right?
Yep.
This movie, I am honored. I was honored for my good pal, writer-producer Mark Altman. Give it up for writer-producer.
Yeah.
Because this movie is so close to my heart. I know it's close to yours too. And I would like to bring on the stage writer-director Robert Meyer Burnett.
Okay.
The 15 years have been great to you, gentlemen.
Well, yeah, now I've been having a lot of sex.
Now, first of all, the question that we all want to know.
God.
Let's cut to the chase here, right? What was it really like working with William Shatner?
Yeah.
Well, I know who was Bill. It's funny. I mean, I told this story before, but it's true. Rob was working, cutting videos for the Star Trek Experience. That was opening in Vegas at the time, and I was doing a magazine called Sci-Fi Universe, and I was trying to break into filmmaking. And we were working on a terrible script called Day of Atonement. It was this Jewish horror thriller, going nowhere, and
Everybody was guilty.
and I got really bored. I was really bored one night, and I was like, and I started coming up with this idea for this movie called Trekkers, and it was sort of very much inspired by Play Against Sam. The idea being that William Shatner would be this cosmic and comic muse to the guys and help them straighten out their lives. He would just show up whenever they needed help from above, and there would be Shatner, and he would show them the error of their ways. And we wrote this, and we got the financing for it, and it was just like a dream. And then we sent the script to Shatner, and we got, heard back, I'm not doing a movie. And it was like, oh my God, what are we going to do? And we thought, okay, he's playing hard to get, but we're going to get him because really what else is he up to do? This movie, it's so reverential, it's so respectful, it's so, it's like, it's giving him a chance to do comedy, and what was he doing at the time? Jeff Speakman movies, Loaded Weapon, come on. I gotta remember, this is pre-Boston legal, pre the big giant head and Third Rock from the Sun, although George Takei would say he was the big giant head back then. Don't speak ill of George, I'm sorry. So, but basically, we finally wrote what Shatner now calls a tear-stained letter. And it was a letter we sent to him saying, why you should do the movie. This movie's going to do for you what Boogie Nights did for Burt Reynolds and what he did for Kim Basinger in LA Confidential. And we have such admiration for you as a comedic thespian. I mean, on Fridays, and you were so great on Saturday Night Live as Ollie North, and nothing about Star Trek, nothing about Get a Life, nothing about any of that. So about a week later, our assistant gets on the phone and says, I have William Shatner on the phone for you. And we were all laughing because everybody knew how desperate we were to get him, and we thought it was just another person, having some fun with us. And we get on the phone, and he goes, hello. And it was obviously Shatner. And he goes, I'm calling because I got your tear-stained letter. And I said, I'm just calling to say that I'm not going to do your movie. And like, why can't you call it? I'm not going to do the movie. So, we're like, oh, okay. And he said it's very amusing and everything, but, I play a god, a guru, a guy with all the answers. He says, I'm embarrassed to sign autographs. I can't play a role like that. And it's embarrassing. And then we're like, well, he's calling us. He must want something. And we're like, is there anything we could do to convince you to do the movie? And he says, no. And then there's the Shatner pause, but, and we're like, we got him! And he goes, if I was a fucked up guy, maybe that's something I'd be interested in. And we're like, well, what kind of problem would William Shatner have? And he goes, girls! And we're like, oh, yeah! This is going somewhere interesting. And we started talking on the phone, and this call was going on much like my conversation right now, going on for a while, and we're like, oh, what about this, Mr. Shatner? What about that? And he says, call me Bill. And we're like, oh, yes, do this, do that. And finally, again, he says, okay, you have your marching orders. So I'm not saying I'm doing the movie. In fact, I'm probably not doing the movie, but I'll read whatever you send me. And we're like, oh, that's great, Bill. And he says, now you can call me Mr. Shatner. And we used that in the script. So, sure enough, we know the story, we rewrote it. This is after I had written the version of Free Enterprise, which there actually is a script that exists called Solar Quest. And Solar Quest is about a Shatner-like character who the guys worship, would have been played by like Malcolm McDowell, and he gives them all this advice, and he's like this really cool Kirk-like character. And then they meet the real actor who plays the Kirkish character, and he turns out to be a real dick. So, which was the way we were feeling about Shatner when he wasn't returning our call. And it ends up, thank God, we didn't have to do that version of the movie because Shatner said yes, and we made Free Enterprise. Is that right, Rob?
It is. And, as I recall, and my memory is a little fuzzy, I believe that the first draft of Free Enterprise was something over 200 pages long.
Oh,
That's just my reading.
I have to tell you something. You may have heard we're doing this Kickstarter campaign for the TV version of Free Enterprise. So I was going through all my Free Enterprise files recently, and I found one of the original drafts of what it was called Trekkers. And I started reading it. Not only did I think it was horrendous, but it was like 200 pages long. It had scenes like where they're driving and it gets the car gets hit by a lightning bolt and suddenly it goes back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, and they're in the mirror universe. I mean, it was like Mark had a goatee, it was like crazy nuts. And this whole thing where they go to Vegas and we just seen Swingers, so like Vegas, Vegas. And it was just like nuts. And I'm thinking, oh my God, it's amazing that we ever. Because I think this was the script that actually got us the financing. Like, this is terrible. and yes, so yes, it was a very long and ridiculous script. And thankfully, we didn't film that script. I mean, we did, the version we did film was still very long. For a romantic comedy, you don't want a very long script, and the running time is traditionally, 95 minutes, And this is a 2-hour movie, and I think the director's cut, which you cut, is over 2 hours long, which is ridiculous.
The Lord of the Rings. Romantic comedy.
Romantic comedy.
Romantic comedy. But, you know, I think the real virtue of having that much material to work with was that it let us cut out all the stuff that didn't work and come up with the funniest possible movie. And I know when I directed it, it really elevated it from what Mark had originally thought of. That was really the thing I was thinking about.
Thank you, Rob.
Well, I want to ask you, in the credits for the film, you thank El Nino.
Yeah.
You thank El Nino. What's the story behind that?
Well, you know, the funny thing about, I mean, you may remember the credit sequence at the end of the movie. You know, we just wanted to give people a reason to stay, so we added all these crazy credits, you know. I don't remember what they are now. I mean, it was like Princess Leia, and, you know, I know William Shatner will return in William Shatner versus the World Finally.
Which we are still looking for the financing.
I know that there were a couple, like Bad Princess, Ardala. I mean, it was like it was mixed in with all the real credits. And, what was it called? Oh, right, El Nino. So, the thing about El Nino was, we were filming in the middle of El Nino, and the whole ending of the movie was supposed to be this cool beach party. And, like, Brian Singer was going to be in it, and there was all these Jaws jokes, and there was all this crazy stuff that happened on the beach. And El Nino hit, they closed the roads in Malibu. This was a couple of days before we were supposed to film. So, and it was, great Planet of the Apes fit. I know there was a film where they shot the ending of Planet of the Apes. Spoiler alert for Statue of Liberty, you know. So, it was going to be really cool. You maniac. And so, we had to switch it to the soundstage. So, I was furiously rewriting the movie while they were off filming and drinking, yeah, and Jerry's Deli. So, that was why we thanked El Nino. It was sort of what we call sarcasm in the business. We didn't really want to thank El Nino, but it was pretty crazy.
Now, in terms of like your budget and your shooting schedule, how long is principal photography?
24 days. I think we did a day or two of pickups, but it was fast. I mean, it was fast and hard and challenging, but Rob has a totally different feeling when he hears fast and hard. But I will tell you this, what was great was, you know, people always ask, you know, we hear all these stories about Shatner, and we'd be like, he was great. He was great. I mean, there were days when, like, we were shooting, you know, 3, 4 in the morning, these night shoots, and he had more energy than everyone put together. I mean, I think that our sound mixer, James Coburn, said he'd be, oh my God, I didn't recognize him. And I mean, you remember, Bill was great, wasn't he? He was great. Yeah, I mean, he really was. He had an energy and a joy to vivre, and he was funny. This is like the first time in a long time he was doing comedy. So he really, like, embraced it. And I remember one time it was, you know, we had, you know, Cuban cigars there for him to keep him, you know, that helped him a lot. And he had a beautiful young assistant. But also, I remember, this is a true story, a friend of mine had just told me, he'd been at a screening of Generations, where Al Pacino, who's a big Star Trek fan, had just watched Generations. And this is a true story. Pacino watching it, like, Shatner blows the Shakespeare guy. You didn't even know Patrick Stewart's name. He blows the Shakespeare guy off the screen. It's like Shatner takes the whole mountain to kill her. The other guy, a rock falls on him. Ooh, but not Shatner. And I could tell the Shatner the story, and he was absolutely right. Al Pacino did that? Absolutely. And it was a true story. He loved it. He loved it. And, you know, so we had a good time. We had good times on that movie. It was hard, and it was, you know, very low budget, and, you know, some of the scenes clearly show, but it really was a great experience. I think that's why, certainly, we look back on it fondly, and it's so wonderful, you know, that so many of you look back on it fondly. Is there anybody here who hasn't seen the movie, hasn't actually seen the movie? Okay, so there's a couple people. I'll tell you what, why don't we, you know, we actually have, some of you have heard we're doing a Kickstarter campaign to do a pilot based on the movie. The reason I want to show this video is at the beginning there's sort of the trailer to the original Free Enterprise movie. This is going to be the first time we're going to debut the Kickstarter. It's live on Kickstarter now. The video is being shown for the first time here, and then it's going to go live. Rob, do you want to say anything to tee this up before we show me and Rob in the video?
You know, only that I directed this little movie 15 years ago, and I would love to have directed it again, and again, and again.
Well, thank you, Rob. And now that we know the show, I want to bring up David Rogers. David is an immensely talented editor and director, Emmy Award-winning editor. He's going to be directing the pilot for us. He is I know he's a huge free enterprise fan, and he started his career on things like Seinfeld, and I think that's when we first met. And so when it came time to do, a half-hour comedy version of Free Enterprise, we thought, oh my God, this is the perfect person. He understands this universe. I just got his notes on the script. He totally gets the universe. So I think he gets it better than I do. And so I want him to join us, and we can talk a little bit more and then open it for questions. But let's take a look at the video, which will sort of be a walk down memory lane.